This video will discuss the use of GoalSeek and Solver to find a break-even point. First of all, in this worksheet, which is on page 13 of the textbook, we have the input data, which are the fixed costs of 1,000, the variable costs of 5 per unit, the revenue of 10 per unit, and then the volume. Right now the volume of 200 is just an arbitrary number, and we may change this, of course, to find what volume it will take to obtain different profit levels. To set up in the formulas in the bottom portion of the spreadsheet, we'll just enter a reference to the volume. We'll enter a formula for total costs. The total costs are the fixed costs plus the variable cost per unit times the volume. The revenues are the revenue per unit times the volume so the profits are the revenue minus the costs. Now, I just happen to pick a placeholder for the volume where the profits are 0, but let's change it to another number. Now, if we want to find the volume that it will take to break even in this example, one option we have is to use the GoalSeek function in Excel. We would go to the Data menu, What If Analysis, and select GoalSeek. The GoalSeek box will appear, and we'll set the cell for profit as the target cell. We want to find where the break-even point is, so that would be a profit of 0. The cell that will change is the volume cell. So we would simply click OK, and GoalSeek will find that 200 units is the break-even point. That's where profits are equal to 0. We could also find, if we wanted to fix our volume, say at 250 units, we could find the revenue value that will allow a break-even point. So if I change the volume to 250 and use GoalSeek one more time, again finding where profit in cell B23 is 0, but this time by changing cell for the revenue per unit, we can find the sales price that it would take to break even if we knew volume was going to be 250. I'll change these back to the values that I had originally. The next possibility that we have for finding the break-even point is to use Excel's Solver feature. In my Excel, under the Data menu, I see Solver at the far right. If you don't have this added in, you can go to File, Options, Add-ins, and then at the bottom of the screen where it says Manage Excel Add-ins, you click Go. if your box for solver add-in is unchecked, then you would check it here. Solver should now appear in the far right of the data menu. So we bring up Solver and it brings up the Solver window. There are several options here. We can maximize a certain function and minimize a certain objective function, and we'll use this to solve many different problems throughout the course. For right now, you see the objective is set at cell B23, which is the profit, and the objective is going to be set to a value of 0, which is the break-even point. The changing variable cells are the ones that we can adjust to meet the objective. In this case, the cell that's selected is B13. So you would put the cursor in this box and select the cell. For this problem, there are no constraints, and we'll talk a lot more about constraints later. We'll also talk about the solving method, but for right now, we'll just click Solve. And Solver will show us that it takes a volume of 200 to break even. So Solver is another alternative to finding the break-even point. And it's good to get familiar with the use of Solver because we will need it as a tool throughout the course.